4 unlimited cards were gifted to 4 women, but the maid's amazing act revealed a hidden truth. The lavish spa stood like a shimmering jewel amid the bustling town of Maplewood. 4 women, each burdened by the weight of their individual struggles, arrived, clutching gleaming gift cards promising a day of indulgence. Emily, a single mother, felt the sting of financial anxiety clawing at her as she forced a smile. Sarah, a former corporate warrior, grappled with the hollowness left by her layoff, her worth tangled in the threads of her old identity. Leah, the young influencer, couldn't ignore the pressure to curate a perfect life through her phone screen, while Rita, a selfless community leader, battled feelings of obsolescence as her sacrifices faded into the background. As they stepped inside the gilded oasis, the soft music wrapped around them like a warm hug. It felt like a dream. But a sudden scheduling blunder shattered any semblance of serenity. Overwhelmed staff rushed about, chaos simmering just beneath the surface. The women's excitement deflated, swallowed by the tension in the air. Emily clenched her fists. The luxurious surroundings made her heart race, not with joy, but fear of being judged. What if they think I don't belong here, she worried, recalling the countless nights she'd spent worrying about how to provide for her kids. Sarah felt raw, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment amid the stunning decor that only highlighted her own insecurity. This is just a distraction, she thought, feeling lost in a sea of wealth she couldn't grasp. Leah desperately checked her phone, hoping for likes that felt more real than the laughter echoing in the background. Each notification brought momentary comfort, but it was fleeting, like sand slipping through her fingers. And Rita stood in silence, watching the chaos unfold. Her heart sank as memories of her battles flickered past like a movie reel. Was her life's worth this much? Just as frustrations boiled over, a young maid, Anna, stepped forward. With gentle strength, she took charge. "I'm so sorry for this mess. Let's try to make the best of it." Her eyes, filled with stories of hard work and resilience, drew the group's attention. Anna shared her own tale, one of sleepless nights spent juggling multiple jobs to care for her sick mother. Her voice broke the facade and softly pierced through the silence. "We all face challenges, however big or small. We might wear different crowns," she said, pausing to lock eyes with each of them, "but we bleed the same. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Anna's story lingered in their minds, the women began to peel back their own layers, revealing their fears and pains. Laughter mingled with tears, forming a comforting bond where previously there had only been isolation. They realized that their worth wasn't measured by possessions or social media likes, but in the connections they made and the struggles they shared. However, as they began to see each other afresh, an unsettling tension crackled in the air. Would they cling to their newfound understanding, or would the pressures of their lives drag them back into the shadows? As they exchanged glances, a question hung heavy. Could they truly support one another, or were they destined to return to their solitary battles? As the laughter faded and the weight of their shared struggles settled in, Emily took a deep breath. She glanced around, searching each face for encouragement. Maybe we should just start over," she proposed, her voice a tender whisper. The others nodded slowly, a flicker of hope ignited among them. "Let's take a moment," Sarah suggested. "What do we need right now?" Her eyes darted between them, gauging the silence that had enveloped their little group. "I mean, really need." Leah shifted uncomfortably. "I need to stop pretending," she admitted, her confident facade crumbling into vulnerability. The way the words trembled from her lips shocked her. "I'm tired of always trying to create a perfect image online. It feels empty." "Social media can be so toxic," Rita chimed in, her voice steady but apologetic. "I've spent so long excluded from my own life that I didn't realize how much I was missing in the real world." The tension in Emily's chest eased just slightly. They weren't just a group of anxious women crammed into a luxurious spa. They were individuals grappling with life's relentless demands. "Oh, I get it," Anna said, her voice rising with understanding. "It's like everyone expects us to wear masks all the time. But what if we just took them off?" Her gaze sparked a daring idea, and the others leaned in closer to hear. Taking inspiration from Anna's honesty, each woman began to share, not just their burdens, but also their unfiltered dreams. Emily expressed a longing for security and stability. Sarah revealed her desire to rediscover her passion. Leah confessed a craving for genuine connection, and Rita spoke about wanting to reignite her purpose in life. The more they shared, the more their walls began to crumble. In that moment of openness, they caught glimpses of each other's vulnerabilities and realized how closely intertwined their lives were, despite seeming impossibly different. Suddenly, the chaotic energy that had once filled the spa turned electric with renewed hope. It was as if everyone around them had become invisible, and only their shared laughter and resilience mattered. Anna, standing nearby with a proud smile, provided them. Life wasn't defined by wealth or status, but by the strength of their bonds and the authenticity they carried within. "We should make a pact," Sarah said, a sparkle igniting in her eyes. "Let's commit to being real with each other from now on." A chorus of agreements buzzed around the room. They raised imaginary glasses, celebrating the birth of newfound friendship and unshakable support. Yet, as they indulged in this fresh camaraderie, the atmosphere thickened when a loud argument broke out from behind the reception desk. It was the manager, practically red with rage, confronting an employee about the blunder that had brought so much chaos. The women exchanged apprehensive glances, the joyful moment fraying at the edges. "Do you think," Leah started, her brow furrowing, "do you think we'll be able to stay connected after this day? What if reality pulls us apart?" That looming question hung heavy in the air. Would the outside world, with its pressures and expectations, intrude on their fragile bond? In the midst of their doubts, a firm voice cut through the tension. "I won't let it. It's our time to rise together," Anna said, standing tall. Her unwavering gaze locked onto each woman, ensuring the promise of connection wouldn't be easily cast aside. But as they began to formulate a plan to ensure their bond endure, an unexpected twist awaited at the reception desk. Nearby, an unmistakable figure emerged from the shadows, setting off a chain of events none of them could have anticipated. As the argument from the front desk escalated, the tension among the women rose. Then, out of the corner of her eye, Emily caught a glimpse of a familiar figure stepping into the spa. Her heart raced. It was Mia, a former friend with whom Emily had lost touch. Mia's presence was magnetic, drawing everyone's attention. Dressed in a casual yet striking outfit, she walked with a confidence that filled the room. The angry manager seemed to forget his tirade momentarily, staring helplessly at her. "Is everything okay in here?" Mia asked, her voice cutting through the chaos like a warm breeze. Instantly, the women felt a shift in the atmosphere. It wasn't just Mia's assertiveness, there was something freeing about her, something audacious. "Do we need to end this gathering?" Mia continued, glancing knowingly at the group, her eyes softening as they landed on Emily. "Or can we turn this day into something extraordinary?" The women exchanged glances filled with uncertainty and excitement. They had begun to shed their masks, and here stood Mia, as if inviting them toward a tantalizing, unexpected frontier. "Mia!" Emily exclaimed, hardly able to mask her surprise. "We were just talking." Mia raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "About what?" Dreams? Real life? Yeah, kind of, Sarah replied cautiously. About being honest with ourselves and, struggling with the expectations everyone has of us. Trust me, Mia said with a glimmer in her eye. Everyone needs a break. From that, sometimes all it takes is one shake-up to change things around. With a flourish, she reached into her oversized handbag and produced 4 gleaming cards. Each card glimmered in the soft spotlights, drawing the women closer. These are gift cards to an adventure experience I swore I'd share with friends. Each one's worth a really nice treat. You could say it's my way of shaking things up. Adventure? Leah asked, her earlier concerns momentarily forgotten. What kind of adventure? Skydiving, bungee jumping, or even just a day at the beach with paddleboards? Whatever floats your boat, Mia offered, her infectious energy catching hold. The catch? You have to use them together. You're in this together, capable of facing anything as a group. The spark of excitement ignited among them, but in the back of Emily's mind, a flicker of doubt remained. What if the adventure exposed more than just a thrill? What if it forced them to confront deeper fears? Or worse, what if it pulled them apart? Are we really ready for that? Emily questioned, her voice slightly trembling. The weight of the conversation they just shared pressed on her heart. Absolutely, Rita replied, her smile now brightening the room. It's about breaking the mold, and you know what? I think it's exactly what we need. What if this is a chance for transformation? Anna chimed in, her enthusiasm matching Rita's. It's either an adventure or a dive into the unknown. Let's see where the waves take us. A thrill raced through Emily, mingling with a touch of fear. Life had always been about safety for her, staying anchored. But in this moment, she caught a glimpse of something more, something just beyond what she thought was possible. As they deliberated upon using the gift cards, Mia stepped forward, her voice lowering. Ladies, I sense something deeper behind your smiles. What if this is your moment of truth, the moment that changes everything? With her words hanging in the air, a silence fell over the group. They were on the verge of something crucial, a chance to dive into the depths of change or cling to their fears like driftwood. What awaited them beyond that leap? Would they embrace it or shy away? Emily's heart raced as she imagined the possibilities. And then another loud voice broke through the quiet, resonating from the front desk, a voice that shouted something shocking enough to halt their thoughts, something that would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and each other. You all need to leave now. The manager's voice thundered across the now silent room, but it wasn't just the authority in his tone that caused a ripple of shock. There's an emergency. The words hung in the air, thick with urgency. Emily's heart raced faster, a sharp pang of worry striking her. What could possibly be happening? The girls exchanged confused glances, their excitement replaced by a blanket of dread. An emergency? Mia asked, eyebrows furrowing. What kind of emergency? It's a mess in the back. The plumbing's backed up and we can't contain it, he replied, waving his arm in frustration. You need to check out and I need to get staff to clean it up. Rita's face showed a struggle between disbelief and empathy. The thought of their spa day ending in chaos felt cruel. But we just got here, she said, her voice wobbly. We were planning on... Doesn't matter what you were planning. He slammed his fist on the desk, making everyone jump. Rules are rules. You have to leave. Now. Emily felt a wave of anger rise. Did they really have to let this interruption dictate their day? She didn't want to surrender to the panic creeping in, and looking at her friends, she saw determination flickering in their eyes too. This was their moment to take back control, just as Mia had hinted. Mia, what do we do? Emily asked, her voice rising above the tension. We turned this into an adventure, Mia said, a confident grin spreading across her face. What if we take those cards and make this a day to remember? The manager, still scowling, seemed momentarily caught off guard by Mia's energy. Emily, fueled by Mia's audacity, felt a rush of adrenaline. Why not? We could split up and use the gift cards like a scavenger hunt. We could create our own adventure. Inspiration lit up the group like a spark catching fire, each woman jumping in with ideas. I always wanted to go skydiving, Anna said, clapping her hands together excitedly. We could schedule that right now. How about we grab lunch afterward, Sarah suggested, her reservations forgotten. Something fun to celebrate us. Mia nodded enthusiastically. And I can handle the logistics. I promised this would be a shakeup, and I'm not backing down. Let's make this day extraordinary. The manager, still hovering, didn't know how to react. His grievance began to fade as the energy shifted in the room. He seemed more like an onlooker now than the authority figure imposing rules. Emily looked around, their laughter and chatter reverberating through the space, transforming the pressure into something larger than themselves. Maybe today was meant to be a celebration of friendship, something they'd all been missing. But just as the excitement peaked, the manager interrupted, a deeper tone in his voice. Listen, ladies, I still have a serious problem to deal with. I don't want to step on your plans, but you might want to talk to the maid who's been working here. Why? Emily's stomach twisted as her curiosity piqued. Because, he paused, looking around the room subtly, she might have just seen something important, something that could change everything. The group stood frozen, their collective breath held. What did he mean? What was this secret that lay behind the day's chaos? As they glanced toward the exit, hoping for an answer, Emily couldn't shake off the feeling that today was merely the beginning. They had to do now was step back into the outside world, and what awaited them there could shake their lives more than they ever imagined. The group moved toward the exit, the manager's words still echoing in their minds. Emily walked a little faster, curiosity bubbling inside her. What could she have seen, she wondered aloud, as they stepped out into the crisp sunlight. The bright day felt like an everyday kind of normal, yet their hearts raced with the anticipation of something unexpected. A new adventure, a treasure hunt, just waiting to unfold. Let's find her, Mia said, her eyes sparkling with determination. She might be in the break room or somewhere around here. The others nodded, enthusiasm building among them once again. As they wandered into the lobby, laughter and chatter bubbled back to life. They spotted a woman in a light blue uniform, a mop in her hand and a distracted look on her face as she filled a bucket. Emily hesitated for a moment, but then something compelled her to approach. "Excuse me," Emily called, her voice steady despite the knots twisting in her stomach. The maid turned, blinking as if she had been pulled from a trance. "Yes, can I help you?" Her voice had a gentle lilt, a welcome contrast to the manager's previous intensity. "We heard you might have seen something important. We were told to talk to you?" Mia jumped in, leaning slightly forward, her excitement palpable. The maid looked around nervously, her brows knitting together. "I'm not supposed to." "Please," Sarah piped up, stepping forward. "We're just curious. It's been one of those days, and we could really use a distraction right now." The maid shifted her weight from foot to foot, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. For a moment, Emily thought she'd say nothing at all, but finally she sighed, the corners of her mouth curling down. "All right, but just for a second. I don't want to get in trouble." The women leaned in closer, all ears. "I was cleaning the back area when I noticed something under a loose floor tile. It was a package, and it looked really out of place," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "A package? What kind of package?" Emily pressed, her heart pounding. "It was wrapped in plain brown paper, but the edges were frayed. I can't say what was inside, but it didn't seem like things that should belong here, like money or something much worse." Her eyes widened, and the others gasped collectively. "What do you mean? Was it illegal?" Anna asked, a sense of dread creeping into her tone. "I didn't stick around to find out," she replied, glancing at the manager's office. "I was terrified. I thought about reporting it, but who would believe me? I'm just a maid." Mia placed a supportive hand on the maid's shoulder. "You were right to tell us. This could change everything for us, too." Emily's heart raced as ideas spiraled in her mind. "We need to find that package," she said, feeling the gravity of their situation sink in. "We can't let fear rule our adventure today." The maid looked at Emily in surprise, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. "Are you really going to do that?" "Why not? This day was supposed to be about us finding ourselves again," Emily declared, her voice clearer now, shaking off the previous doubts. "Let's see where this leads." Their laughter faded into silence as they realized they were about to embark on something bigger than they had imagined. A hidden truth awaited them, begging to be uncovered. As they exchanged glances, Emily felt the weight of possibility hanging thick in the air. "Okay, but where do we even start?" Rita asked, her excitement mixed with trepidation. In that moment of uncertainty, Emily's mind raced, and she made a decision. "Let's go back inside and find the manager. Maybe he knows more than he's letting on, and then we do this." Her words hung heavy, the adventure changing its course before it had even begun. Would they discover more than just a secret today? Would they discover their own truths as well? Each question felt like a thread weaving through a tapestry, leading them further into a story none of them had intended to be a part of. Only time would tell what lay ahead. As they stepped back inside, the thrill of their new mission surged through Emily. Flashes of determination sparked in her chest, overpowering any lingering doubts. She was leading them to something unknown, but perhaps that was the best form of adventure. "Are we really doing this?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide and bright. "Going after a mysterious package? What if it turns out to be, dangerous?" Emily took a deep breath, willing the hesitance in her heart to settle. "It won't be dangerous if we're careful. We'll be smart about it. And besides," she added with a faint smile, "this is exactly what we needed, a little excitement in our lives." Mia clapped her hands together, her eyes shining. "Let's go then. The sooner we find out what's in that package, the sooner we can move on." They turned their attention to the manager's office. The door was closed, but Emily could feel its weight, an invisible barrier between their curiosity and the truth they craved. She moved forward, dwelling in the uncertainty for just a moment longer, while her friends followed, their presence bolstering her resolve. "Knock, knock," Emily said, tapping gently on the wood, an innocent facade masking her racing heart. "Come in," came the voice from inside, tinged with a hint of irritation. As the door creaked open, the sight of the manager hunched over papers made Emily's stomach churn. "We were just," she began, but the words barely made it past her lips. The manager's gaze snapped up, flaring with annoyance. "What now? I don't have time for games. You're off the clock." "But it's urgent," Mia asserted, stepping up beside Emily. "We heard there might be something unusual in the back area. Can you tell us about it?" His expression turned to one of bemusement mixed with disdain. "Look, I don't have time for your wild ideas. There's nothing back there you need to worry about." Emily exchanged a glance with her friends, a silent agreement that their pursuit wasn't over yet. "Can we see for ourselves?" she asked, her voice steady despite the risk of pushback. "Absolutely not. It's a restricted area," he barked, his tone leaving no room for argument. "I understand, but if you could just give us a few minutes, we promise to be quick," Emily countered, her determination hardening. After a moment of tense silence, the manager sighed, leaning back in his chair. "Fine, but just a peek, and if I hear one word about this from anyone—" "Thank you!" Sarah exclaimed, her relief palpable. As they stepped away, Emily's heart drummed in her ears. Each footfall felt heavy with potential. This wasn't just about a package anymore. It was about confronting barriers, about finding the truth buried beneath layers of mundane life. Once they reached the back area, the atmosphere shifted. The industrial light illuminated the dull tile beneath their feet. Ella and Mia exchanged nervous smiles, while Sarah peered closely at a corner, her forehead creased in concentration. "Do you think the package is really still here?" Anna asked, her voice wavering with excitement. Emily nodded. "It has to be. The tension built as they scanned the area for any sign of the loose floor tile the maid had described. It was as if each second stretched into eternity, the thrill of what lay ahead pulling them closer to the edge of discovery. "Over here," Mia shouted suddenly, pointing to a corner where the floor seemed to shift. Everyone hurried over, excitement bubbling as they bent down. There it was, a corner of brown paper peeking through. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she reached for it, but just as she was about to touch it, a loud crash rang through the air. A figure stepped out from the shadows, blocking their path. "What are you doing here?" the manager's voice boomed, making them jump back. Panic surged, combining with adrenaline. What would they say? What were they going to do next? As their truth hung in the balance, Emily felt her heart race once more, uncertainty pushing at the edges of their bravado. Would they be able to uncover this hidden truth, or would fear take control? The moment felt charged with possibilities. One wrong move could change everything. "What's really going on here?" the manager demanded, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. Emily knew they had to decide fast, and she had to choose the words that could either free them or seal their fate. Emily could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on them. A jumble of emotions swirling in her chest. "We were just curious," she managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. It was a half-truth, one that wrapped around the real intention behind their visit like a protective shield. "Curious? About what exactly?" The manager took a step closer, his eyes boring into hers. "You know you shouldn't be back here. I could get in serious trouble for this." "Trouble for what?" Mia piped up, a mix of defiance and fear in her tone. "We're just trying to help. We heard something unusual might be here. We just wanted to check it out." Emily seized the moment. "If there's nothing going on, what's the harm in us looking for a minute? You can come with us if that makes you feel better," she offered, attempting to bring him into their fold, hoping to take the edge off his aggression. His brow furrowed, hesitating. "No one needs your help. This isn't a game." Suddenly, the crack in his demeanor was more palpable. A sliver of anxiety flickered across his face. Maybe he was hiding something, and that very thought injected new adrenaline into Emily's veins. "Just let us look. We'll be out of your hair before you know it," she pressed, keeping her voice soft yet firm. They needed to establish trust, even if only temporarily. The manager glanced back at the door. They could see the tension in his shoulders. After a long moment, he finally relented, rolling his eyes and letting out an exasperated sigh. "All right, fine. Quick, I don't have all day." "Thank you," Sarah exclaimed, relief radiating from her like a lighthouse guiding the way. As they swarmed the corner where the paper peeked out, Emily felt her heart amplify its rhythm, echoing the rush of blood in her ears. Each of her friends leaned in closer, their breaths held in anticipation as they zeroed in on the loose tile. The manager stood rigid, arms crossed, like a guard over a treasure, and with each passing second, the tension climbed. Emily reached down again, her fingers brushing against the coarse texture of the brown paper. With a swift motion, she yanked it free, revealing not just the package, but a dented metal box nestled beneath it. "What is this?" Mia asked, her voice just above a whisper, eyes wide in wonder and anxiety. I don't know," Emily replied, eyes moving from Mia to the manager. The box bore no labels, just an old rusty clasp that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. The manager moved closer, his annoyance morphing into a palpable dread. "You shouldn't be messing with things you don't understand." "That's exactly why we're here," Emily shot back, "to understand." With shaky hands, Emily pressed the clasp. It clicked open, a sound that seemed to bite at the silence around them. She opened the lid, revealing crumpled papers, faded photographs, and even a few letters tied with twine. "What the—"
Sarah started, peering closer. Their faces turned pale as they recognized the images. They were familiar faces from their own community, smiling in the snapshots, standing together at events, holding signs and commemorating moments. Who were they really? What connection did all these pieces have? "If you're smart, you'll put that down now," the manager warned, stepping forward. "No," Emily said firmly, stepping back and clutching the box close. Her heart raced not just with fear, but a fire igniting within. "This is bigger than us at this point. We need to know what this is all about." As the realization crashed over them, a thrilling uncertainty stretched between what they thought they knew and the deeper secrets lurking just beneath the surface. What had they uncovered? What could it mean for their small town? The manager hesitated, glancing between them and the box with a mixture of fear and concern. "You don't want to go down this road," he murmured, but Emily was already too far gone, curiosity and courage propelling her. What awaited them in the pages of that box could change everything. "Then it's time to find out," Emily said, determination reshaping her voice. Behind them, something clattered. A shadow in the doorway snared their attention. It wasn't just the manager anymore. They were not alone. "What now?" Anna whispered, fear creeping back in. And Emily's heart quickened, not just with anticipation but dread. Could they really handle the truth that was about to unfold? The figure that had appeared in the doorway was no stranger. Emily's breath hitched as she recognized the silhouette. It was Paul, the town's historian. His reputation for knowing everything about their small town was both revered and feared. But tonight he looked less like an unbiased keeper of records and more like a harbinger of secrets. "What are you doing here?" the manager stammered, his bravado crumbling in the face of Paul's calm yet intense demeanor. "I could ask you the same thing," Paul replied, his voice low but firm. He stepped into the room, the flickering overhead light casting a dramatic shadow across his face. "That box is not just junk, it's a piece of history you're tampering with." Emily felt a mixture of intrigue and fear bubble up inside her. Paul glanced at the open box, his gaze landing on the photos and documents. His expression shifted, a merging of shock and recognition washing over him. "Where did you find this?" "We didn't mean to upset anything," Emily said hastily, her grip tightening around the box. "We just wanted to know what it was." Paul took a step closer, his eyes narrowing. "You don't know what you're getting into. Those photos tell a story, one that many would prefer remain buried. You can't just dig it up because you're curious." Mia glanced at Emily, uncertainty shadowing her features. "What do you mean? What's the story? Why does it matter?" "It matters because it involves people, real people in our community, and their past."
"Is tangled with darkness," Paul insisted, the urgency in his tone sharpening. Emily's heart raced as she thought of the happy faces in the photographs. Were their lives really cloaked in secrets? She felt an insatiable need to unravel this thread. "But what darkness? We're not afraid of the truth." At that, Paul hesitated, the weight of the room pressing down on him. "You may think you're brave, but understanding this truth could destroy what you know about your home, about your friends and families. Are you ready for that?" Another clatter interrupted them. This time, a few old, rusted coins fell from the box, landing on the floor with a metallic ring. They rolled in different directions, symbols of forgotten pasts scattering across the dusty ground. The air thickened with tension as everyone's gaze shifted to the coins. Those were from the original town founders' days. The stories tied to those coins could shift how we see our town history, Paul said, urgency threading through his words. He looked at Emily intently. "You're not just curious anymore. You've stumbled into something much bigger." "What are you saying?" Emily's voice was stronger now. "If there are stories that could change our understanding of where we come from, shouldn't we want to uncover them?" "Maybe so, but consider the cost," Paul warned again. "Some truths are meant to be hidden for a reason." As they exchanged looks, Emily could feel the connection forming among her friends. They had crossed a line, committed to unraveling something that might reshape their entire community. Each of them wore resolve on their faces, a determination that felt unshakable. "Okay, let's go through these together," Emily decided, her heart pounding steadily now with a mix of fear and excitement. No more hiding. But just as she leaned to sift through the contents, the sound of rushing footsteps echoed from the hallway outside. It was as if everyone was on the edge, waiting. "What happens if someone else discovers this before we do?" Sarah whispered, panic creeping back into her voice. The question hung in the air, leaving an unsettling silence. Emily knew they couldn't let anyone else in on this before they understood it themselves. The truth beckoned them fiercely, but its revelations might threaten the fabric of everything they held dear. As the footsteps grew closer, a chill ran through Emily. Would they uncover the secrets of the box, or would they be swept away in the turmoil of the truth? Time felt like it was slipping away, and with it, their chance to regain control of the unfolding chaos. Would they have the courage to face whatever came next? Just then, a voice rang out, sending shivers down her spine as the door swung open. "What's going on in here?" Emily's heart dropped at the sight. A new challenge had just stepped into their world, but could they face it together? The door creaked open to reveal Detective Lewis, the town's sharp-eyed officer known for his relentless pursuit of order. He looked from Paul to the box, a frown deepening on his brow. Emily's heart raced. This wasn't just any interruption. It felt like an impending storm. Paul stepped forward, his voice steady but urgent. "Detective, we were just discussing some old town records." "Records, huh?" Lewis cut him off, narrowing his eyes. "Doesn't look like a routine archival meeting to me. What's in that box?" Emily's mind raced. She couldn't let the detective see the photos, not now, not when they were on the brink of discovery. "It's nothing important, just old photos we found," she said, trying to conceal the tremor in her voice. Lewis took a step into the room, and the tension became palpable. "Nothing important? Those coins on the floor tell a different story. What were you planning to do with them?" Paul shifted his weight as if gathering himself before the onslaught. "Emily and her friends have stumbled across some important historical artifacts. We were looking to understand their significance." Detective Lewis's gaze lingered on the flickering light overhead. For a moment, he seemed to weigh the implications of those words, as if he could sense the weight of history pressed against his chest. What kind of significance? And why the secrecy? Mia felt like she might cry. "We didn't mean for it to spiral out of control." "Spiraling is exactly the issue," Lewis snapped. The force of his tone was enough to send a shudder through Emily. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. Past grievances, unresolved tensions. The town carries burdens that could reignite if disturbed." "Does that mean we should stop?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "No." Emily's voice cut through the thick fog of anxiety. "At least not without knowing what we're up against. We can't just turn away now." She steeled herself, sensing determination pooling in her veins. "Detective, if these artifacts are tied to the community, then we owe it to everyone to find out what they reveal." The detective studied her, his expression softening just slightly. "You think it'll be that simple? There are consequences to revealing the past. People might not take kindly to what they hear." Before Emily could respond, Paul interjected with fervor. "But it's the truth we need. If we want to grow as a community, we must confront our history. Are we really going to let fear dictate our next steps?" Silence enveloped them. It wasn't just about the box anymore. It was about identity, both personal and collective. Emily felt a surge of passion. This was a moment of choice, and they stood at the precipice. Lewis cleared his throat. "Listen, I can't pretend I understand why this matters to you. But if you're going to pursue this, you need to tread carefully. And I suggest you work with me." "Together?" Mia asked, a flicker of hope sparking. "Hold on." The detective raised his hand. "This doesn't mean I'm encouraging you. I'm just wary of the trouble that might follow. If you don't want to be caught in crosshairs, you must be prepared for what's coming." Emily felt the weight of his words. "We're prepared."
Her heart raced, a mix of fear and courage surging through her. As they exchanged looks, a new sense of purpose formed among the group. They'd sworn they wouldn't back down, but now the stakes felt higher than ever. The door suddenly swung open wider, revealing a group of townsfolk streaming in, drawn in by the commotion. Emily's heart sank. Would they shield her, or would curiosity drag them deeper into the chaos? "Wait!" Emily shouted, but it was too late. Each face held a different shade of confusion, anger, and keen interest. Her pulse thundered in her ears. How much of their world was about to change? And who could they trust now? What would they discover next, and would it bring them together or tear them apart? The truth was unraveling, and they had barely scratched the surface. But in that moment, the electric tension suffocated the room. Faces filled with intrigue and suspicion turned toward Emily and her friends, pressing in like waves crashing against a rocky shore. The murmurs began, a swirling vortex of doubt and anxiety, and with it, a rush of nostalgia for their earlier laughter flooded her mind. "Detective Lewis, what's going on?" A concerned voice broke through the chaos. It was Mrs. Johnson, a well-respected figure in the community. She'd spent years organizing town events and was beloved by many. Yet her current demeanor revealed she'd sensed something brewing beneath the surface. "Just an investigation into these artifacts," Lewis replied, his voice firm. "Artifacts?" Mrs. Johnson frowned, moving closer to the box. Emily held her breath, battling the impulse to step back and hide their discovery. This was their moment to share the truth. Rita stepped forward, her passion radiating. "We found this box, and we believe it has connections to our town's past. We didn't mean for it to become a secret." Her words propelled the anticipation into the air, shimmered like a flame catching right. "Tell us everything," Mrs. Johnson urged, her eyes widening with genuine curiosity. Emily exchanged looks with her friends. This was a pivotal moment. If they faltered, they could lose everything they had fought hard to uncover. They chose togetherness over fear. "All right," Emily said, finding her voice. "We believe the contents of this box could reveal hidden aspects of our community that deserve to be acknowledged, the stories that have shaped us, for better or worse." The townsfolk shifted uneasily, looking between Emily and the box. "Do you really think people will want to know?" a person asked, nervousness edging their voice. "We deserve the truth," Emily insisted, feeling the swell of conviction within. "Every story counts, and it's not just about one person, it's about us. This could help us heal and grow stronger as a community." The crowd murmured, whispers of agreement mingling with doubt. But Anita, a kind neighbor who often organized local charities, stepped up boldly. "If we're scared of the truth, we're living a lie. Isn't that worse? Let's give this a chance." Voices of support began to float through the crowd, gathering momentum like a tidal wave. "Yeah, tell us what's in there," encouraged one woman. "We have a right to know our history." Spurring her courage, Emily turned to Paul, who stood watching with a knowing glimmer in his eyes. "Can you help us, Paul?" she asked. "Help us navigate what this means?" He hesitated, then nodded, stepping beside her. "I may know a thing or two about what those photos hold, but I can't do it alone. Everyone needs to be on board. We cannot afford to hide from what is essential for us as a community." With a slow exhale, Emily faced the crowd again. "Open these letters, bear witness to these stories with us. Let's learn together, pain and joy intertwined." As a few more stepped forward, curiosity in their tone and purpose in their actions, the energy shifted and the fear melted. They were no longer fragmented individuals, but a collective, eager to unveil the forgotten narratives that had shaped their lives. Then, with a gentle nudge from Paul, Emily opened the first letter. Her heart raced as she deciphered the elegant handwriting, words flowing like an ancient river, connecting their present to a complicated past. This letter speaks of a unity effort long before our time, of struggles faced during racial strife, Emily began, feeling the weight of the words settle in the room. It tells of friendships formed in resistance, of collective joy in heartbreaking times, just like ours now. As she spoke, the townsfolk leaned in, eyes wide, hearts racing. Faces once clouded with uncertainty now blossomed with recognition. "We can't let this remain hidden," Rita added passionately as she joined Emily's side, revealing a photograph. "We want to belong together, don't we? To face our truth, to carve a future united?" As the community spirit soared, Emily felt a profound change wash over her, as though the air had transformed. They were uncovering their shared past, and with each revelation, the invisible chains of isolation started to snap. Tears mingled with laughter, leaving trails that sparked glimpses of hope. "We're in this together now," Sarah exclaimed, fanning the flames of enthusiasm among the crowd. "If understanding helps us grow our community bonds, then unleash it." With renewed strength, faces began to soften, revealing stories of legacy stitched into every smile and tear shed for generations. The journey had morphed into more than just a discovery. It was about building relationships that would endure. And then came a hush, as Detective Lewis, still lingering at the edge, seemed to visually retreat from the tight grip of authority, his stance easing. "You're right," he finally said, almost in wonder. "You're stronger together, and if you embrace this truth, so too will the community."
But heed my warning, this path isn't without peril. "Let it come," Emily declared with an unwavering resolve. "We're ready to face it. We will no longer allow fear to rule our hearts or impede our growth." As if in unison, the once fragmented group stood united, laughter mingling seamlessly with hopeful anticipation. Together, they were ready to embrace whatever challenges the world might throw their way. In that moment, the air shimmered with promise. They unlocked not just a box overflowing with the past, but also an entire future that was theirs to mold. "Who's with us?" Leah shouted, and the chorus of voices erupted, echoing through the air like a call to arms. "Together," they yelled, the sound echoing with newfound energy vibrating throughout their town. This was the start of something beautiful, a fresh beginning, a chapter untold, filled with connections that would transcend generations. And dear reader, your own journey is now also at a turning point. Don't miss out on the future adventures we'll share. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our community. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, and this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second to share.